So as two Norfolk natives, one story we've been keeping a relatively close eye on is the Norfolk County Council's class action lawsuit with Apple. Obviously there was more news last week. I wondered if you wanted to share any thoughts and feelings you have on that now that the dust is beginning to settle a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think first thoughts and feelings, of course, is it's an absolute delight to see any major story that involves Norfolk, which is not commonplace. Well, I think in many stories, let alone in the technology field. But you know, to see good old Norfolk County Council, somewhere I've worked before myself, taking on a giant, you know, probably one of, if not the biggest in the world in Apple, and winning is, you know, newsworthy and not just from the point of view of this, it's fun and entertaining for me to see that I wouldn't normally see. But actually, there's a quite a cool underlying story here that's really important. So, you know, if we look into the actual kind of the guts of the story, it's interesting that you know, someone the size of Norfolk County Council and the sort of, you know, compared to Apple, its relevance, they probably never even heard of the county of Norfolk, being taken on and losing is an important thing. I think it's, you look at what fundamentally it's all about, boil this down to its sort of component parts. These are real people whose lives would be affected. These are pension funds of the elderly, not just in Norfolk. This is a class action suit held by a number of people. It's just led by Norfolk County Council. It's doing the right thing for the people who end up being affected, which in so many cases is just really very normal people. And it's interesting that I think a company like Apple are held to account. Yes, we sometimes see big companies getting on the wrong side of the law and having to make payouts, but maybe not as much as we should. And this is particularly interesting because his comments made by the CEO, which are affecting the share price. And I think it sort of gives rise to the consideration that people sometimes don't think with big companies, not just technology companies, that the way that they act and the way that they talk, particularly, you know, being the CEO at the front of one of the biggest, if not the biggest public company in the world, is that your actions and your words have, you know, great significance in what they mean. And whether or not, you know, Tim Cook's comments were, you know, flagrant lies, I think that would be a little bit far-fetched. I don't think they were. I think they were misplaced, misthought, but sometimes the impact is not considered. So it's, you know, it's lovely to see that these things can come to a kind of the right end for all of the people affected. I think one of the interesting statistics that I saw was that the amount that Apple will have to pay out is equivalent to 2 days net profit. Now I can tell you, if you run a company, your board is not going to be happy at losing a minute of net profit. So that is, at a board level in Apple, they're going to be very unhappy. But it gives rise to an understanding of exactly what that truly means in the kind of the world of Apple. And I'm sure that they will act differently moving forward. So yeah, very interesting and kind of, you know, the fun angle to see Norfolk represented against the might of Apple, but a great outcome and, you know, a great story.
So another story that we've been discussing in and around the office is HPE's purchase of Juniper, which I appreciate is a couple of weeks old now, but I know you have some thoughts on it. Yes, give us an insight into maybe your view and how you see that story evolving.
Yeah, that's I think there's a couple of things here. So HPE, interesting company, been around for a very long time, huge technology giant, West Coast America. If you go a long way back, they've kind of had a rise and a bit of a fall and a rise again. And in recent years, they've been buying up technology companies and moving to a kind of a, you know, slightly different perspective and angle in how they were approaching the technology world and how they're doing business. I think Juniper is an interesting one for me in particular, because Juniper is one of the power players in the sort of the world of networking. You know, where for all those people who know and have heard of Cisco, if you're in network world, you've heard of Juniper. It's a huge acquisition. I think the acquisition finished at about £14 billion. But it's not just, for me, the acquisition of a network company. I think the main reason, certainly what I think has been reported, I don't think it was widely reported, is Juniper, for me, in the network space, were as far forward as you're going to get with AI. So Juniper Mist, part of their AI suite, I think is one of the key reasons, if not the maybe even the sole reason, truly, as to what HPE have bought there. You know, the market hype around AI, rightfully so, is absolutely huge. If you do anything with AI at the moment, you know, valuations are going to go up and interest is going to be big. If you don't do anything with AI, tell everyone you're doing something with AI because you want people listening to you. It doesn't matter. But I think that, for me, is the most important part of the play. If I'm right, we'll never know, of course, I think the way Juniper were trending is that would have just become even more expensive a purchase over the next few years. You know, I've got a lot of respect for Juniper. I think they do great stuff, done great stuff for a long, long time. I think they're so far ahead that they could have continued to become even more valuable. So I think HPE have bought the right technology at the right time. But of course, also, consideration has to be around hype cycles. It has to be around, okay, who's the next big company who's going to be driving forward with their AI offering as well, which could dampen the value of Juniper. So I'm sure they've made a very strategic, sale at the right time, as have HPE as a purchase. But I think what's going to be interesting, most interesting, Juniper have huge presence across so many companies. You know, we use Juniper at Cloud Gateway, of course we do. So companies of of our size, all the way through to massive multinationals, going to be using Juniper. One of the big fears when a company like that is bought is how are HPE going to use them? Are they going to allow them to almost continue to trade as Juniper, continue to operate as a technology as Juniper? They have done that with the other technology purchases they've made over the last 5 to 10 years. So I expect Juniper will be the same. But it will be interesting to see how they harness the AI. Are they going to use that across the other technologies they've got? Are they going to try and consolidate? And are they going to have success with that? Maybe it's unfair, maybe it's not. But if you've sort of grown up in networks over the last 20, 30 years, the classic with Cisco, who were by far the biggest power player in networks, is that they would buy technologies and, if I'm being completely honest, frankly, destroy them. But nothing actually often very good came of what they did. And I don't think that was necessarily their intent. I just don't think they handled it very well. I think HPE are going to do a lot better based on what I've seen their more recent track record being. But how they evolve the AI side of networking and how they build that into that suite and how they then work with their prospective customers and their current customers and how that can yield success, it is going to be interesting. And I think it's going to set the benchmark for the other big networking and security technology providers as to how they use AI. I mean, I think the one thing that's going to definitely be the most interesting thing for shareholders and boards of these companies is they're going to look at the £14 billion price tag and go, that looks interesting. I think we better do a little bit more with that. So eyes peeled, really, really interested as to what is going to come rather than just continuing what they've got. But one to watch, a significant one.